So, traditional Jewish, Christian, or Muslim. To understand atheist and agnostic as well as many.
Oh, Saint Bernard. I love Saint Bernard, but hate Saint Bernard.
I don't even remember where I first heard about Saint Bernard of Clairvaux, but he is an odd duck. So this is not the Saint Bernard after whom the dog breed is named. That is Saint Bernard of Menthon. He was a Crusader-era hospitaller who died just a few years before this Saint Bernard was born.
Well, that makes sense because Saint Bernards are rescue dogs.
Right?
But not this Saint Bernard.
No. Saint Bernard of Clairvaux is not a rescuer so much. Though if you want to keep the image of a dog slobbering in your mind as we go forward, that's not inappropriate to the subject at hand. This Bernard was born in Burgundy around 1090. According to what I've been able to find, they haven't actually nailed it down 100%, but that's okay. We've got a pretty narrow window.
He old.
Yeah, it's 1,000 years ago almost. So he was connected to the famous Knights Templar at their foundation. I think, going off of memory now, I think it was his uncle who was actually the founder, and he helped out writing some of their documentation, which is kind of cool. Not quite a thing that is worthy of sainthood, in my opinion. People may disagree, and that's fine. He supported Pope Innocent II and helped him defeat anti-Pope Anacletus II, which may have earned him some favor. But it's definitely not what made him special. That slobbery dog. Keep that image in your mind.
No.
So Bernard was way too devoted to a high Mariology. He was really interested in seeing Mary as the intercessor instead of Jesus.
Like, really interested.
Yeah. Oh man, our guy struggled perpetually with horniness to the point that he seriously considered living a life of solitude, but he apparently couldn't manage it.
It's humping everything.
So the great tradition that surrounds this fella has inspired a lot of Renaissance art that reveals his struggle. The stories vary on whether he was awake and praying in front of an image of Mary or whether he was asleep and dreaming. But either way, he sees Mary feeding a baby Jesus in the way that a mother does.
On the
irregular nursing. And the baby takes a break from the nip, and Mary shoots Bernard a little squirt of milk and gets it right in his mouth like a champ. Or, according to some stories, just puts a little bit on him with her thumb or something.
Simba.
Kind of, right? And the moral of the story is it changes depending on who you ask as well. Sometimes Mary is meant to be seen as a stand-in mother for Bernard's real mother who had died when he was 19, and by extension, the universal mother of humanity. There's also a story that the milk cured his eye infection, which might be a euphemism for lecherousness. Hard to say for sure. Or some people just say the milk represents wisdom more generally.
But in actuality...
Our boy had a wet dream and didn't have the sense to keep it to himself and got sainted for this miracle.
So... The moral of the story is we've all experienced a miracle. So you too can be a saint. So gross. It's TMI.
Yeah. Right? Like, I'm trying to imagine any situation where you need to go and tell your friends about this situation.
But then his friends being like, that's really great for you, Bernard.
And they told other people.
We're going to let the Pope know about this, actually.
Because obviously Mary actually appeared to you and gave you some of her milk. When, I mean, the idea of this is certainly anachronous. Baby Jesus stopped being a thing 1,000 years before. He died as an adult.
1,000 years before, yeah.
So, weird stuff. Our boy Bernard of Clairvaux was canonized in 1174. His feast day is August 20th. Don't think too hard about the feast.
Is it all milk? Is it milkshakes?
Depends on who you ask. Burlesque.
I love it.
Most saints don't have a specific feast of this is what you're supposed to be feasting on.
I hope his is milk chocolate.
So do I.
He, Saint Bernard, is the patron saint of apiarists, candle makers, Cistercian monks, and a handful of cities, and the Knights Templar.
But
Not cows?
no, not cows. Nobody wants to make that parallel between Mother Mary and cows.
Oh, fair.
While Hindus are A-okay with approximating cows to divinity, Catholics are not exactly comfortable with that.
Too bad.
But he's an interesting fellow. St. Bernard of Clairvaux and his wet dream.
Is interesting the word we would use?
Well, we both thought it was interesting enough to include and share with our audience.
I thought it was gross enough to include and share with our audience.
Yeah, that's the way it goes.
Okay. I think you should all bring the story of St. Bernard to your next family get-together. Let us know how it goes.
Yeah, tell everybody about your wet dream and see if they are willing to saint you for it.
I didn't mean your personal wet dream. I just meant tell them about St. Bernard.
I think that'll go over much better at the dinner table.
Moderately better, yes.
Peace be with you.
Salvation for. By the late Middle Ages, the Christian prophecy had fulfilled itself.